months. Let's be realistic here. So a lot has happened in my life in those 4 months. So I am working full-time now for a delivery service provider for Amazon. So I don't know about y'all, but in several of my last videos, I talked about like how tight financially things were. And it's just, we've gotten to a point where like, we physically cannot be any more frugal, right? Like, hear me. You can almost always be more frugal, but you get to a point where like you're paying for 4 walls and groceries and you just can't be any more frugal. So more money has to be coming in, right? It is what it is. That's a fact of life. And I've always tried to be super transparent on my YouTube channel about like, I was a full-time mom and also I was a full-time working mom, wife, and homeschooler. I brought my son with me to my jobs when he was small because I was a housekeeper and a nanny. And that was part of my agreement with my clients, was that my son had to come with me. Otherwise, I didn't take on that client. Then we got to a point where we were financially just a lot more stable, right? And then life happened and we accrued a bunch of debt, and I had to go back to work for a short period of time between like 2020 and 2021. And I did Instacart and Shipped, and I did that more than full time, like probably close to 80 hours a week, from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day, maybe taking one day off a week. I did that for basically 2 years. Made a ton of money, but it was like the stars aligned, right? Like God knew what he was doing. He got me hooked up with Shipped and Instacart right when the pandemic hit, and people were only ordering their groceries online, and people were tipping actually really well. And then after that all kind of petered out in 2021, people quit tipping. Both Shipped and Instacart changed their pay structure, and I went from making an incredible amount of money each week. Now, I'm going to say that I was making anywhere between $2,000 and $3,000 a week. Keep in mind that that was 1099 income, so I had to pay 30% off the top on taxes, so that's not actually what I was making. But I put, I don't know how many tens of thousands of miles on my car, and I drive a very old, used, paid off car. So like, it got to the point at the end of 2021 where it just didn't financially make sense. And I made so much money that we got out of debt. Like, we did it really fast. Then in 2021, we finished our house and we ended up right back in debt because we used all the money to pay off all the debt, and we didn't set aside any extra money for home ownership stuff, which let's just, like, nobody tells you what the expenses of home ownership are going to be. Like, everybody tells you, oh, don't rent because that's throwing your money away, but nobody actually tells you how expensive it is to own a house because you're responsible for everything. Shortly after we moved into our brand new house, the house got struck by lightning and we had to replace a bunch of things. And then we also had, there was just a bunch of other stuff that needed to be done. Like, we needed to put in floors. We could have lived with the roll linoleum and stuff like that. But there was a litany of things that needed to be done to make the home our home. And we could have lived in a construction project for a really long time, but we didn't want to because we had been saving for like 20 years to build a house, right? So we ended up back in debt. And for a while it was fine because I was making enough side money with side projects. I teach at our homeschool co-op and I get paid to do that. I walk dogs, I babysit, I sometimes pick up odd jobs, things like that. And then inflation went absolutely bananas. And I don't care what anybody says. Everybody's like, oh, inflation's only up 3%. That's not true. Absolutely not true. I can like show you that my grocery bill from what is it, 2024? Oh my gosh, like the whole last 4 years have just been completely memory hold, right? But like my grocery bill in 2019 to my grocery bill in 2024 is at least 30% higher, and we're not buying anything different. In fact, we're buying less, way less. I'm no longer buying like exclusively organic. I'm no longer buying grass-fed. We just can't afford it. I'm bulk buying as much as I can, like anything that I can, and I am bulk cooking. Like a couple weeks back, I made 90 breakfasts to put into the freezer because I just don't have time to cook anymore working full time. And so anyways, I say all that to say that I don't care what anybody says. The cost of living has at least doubled. At least doubled. Our insurance has gone, our homeowners insurance has gone up. Our property taxes have skyrocketed. We're in Central Florida. Like there's just so many things. And hear me, I'm not necessarily complaining. Like this is what happens when everybody moves to a state because of how the government in Florida, how it all handled everything that happened in 2020. Happy for that, whatever. I'm glad that, you know, people got out of their crap states and came here and were able to come here and not be in crap states anymore. It just sucks for those of us who were actually starting to make it to be like buried because we don't have the income here. It was fine in 2019. We had the income to match what the houses cost and to match what the cost of living was. But now everybody from like, you know, California and New York has sold their homes in those states and brought their cash from those homes. You know, like a crack house in California sells for like $500,000. That will get you a mansion here. Well, not anymore, but at the time it would get you a mansion here. So anyways, you know, those people brought all their cash with them here and they drove the taxes up. They drove the property prices up. Everything has gone up. And great, our house is worth double what it was when we built it, but we built our house on what it was like worth, right? We can't access the equity in our home. Our home is only 2 years old. I had to think about that. 3 years old. Our house is 3 years old now. So anyways, and even if we could access the equity in our house, would we really want to? Because it's like, no, it doesn't feel smart to do that. Like it doesn't feel smart to take out a home equity line of credit or a second mortgage or anything like that. I don't know. I am very frazzled right now. So if you guys could be praying for me, I would really appreciate it. I have not had to work like full time on somebody else's schedule since my son was like 7 or 8, because that's when I was able to pull way back the first time. And then every other time since then, I've worked for myself as a 1099 employee, but now I'm a W-2 employee and I work on a set schedule and it is brutal. So I don't want to pivot the channel because after we get through this and pay debt back off, I'm coming back home. Like my goal is not to be out working for somebody all the time. This is a stopgap measure. I may stay doing something part-time just to keep some extra security income coming in, but my son's about to leave the house. Well, not leave the house, but like he's about to graduate. He's 16. He's getting his license. He doesn't really, you know, it's not like I have littles anymore. So, me going back into the workforce at this time is not as detrimental as it was when he was much younger. So that's where life is at right now. And I just wanted to apologize for taking so long to update about it because, like I said, things have been just absolutely bonkers. First of all, I wanted to talk a little bit about like getting back into the job market after being out of the work scene for so long. I have not had a W-2 job since my son was like, I want to say 3. I think I quit my office job when he was about 3. And then I came home and started some businesses at home. And that's how I brought an extra income then. And then it wasn't really until like 14, I had an MLM that kind of skyrocketed and did pretty well. And that still brings in a little bit of passive income every month. Not enough to like make a living off of, but a little bit. So there was like some years there where I wasn't having to work a ton for the money that was coming in. And keep in mind that throughout this entire time, my husband has had a very good blue collar job, like a very good service back job where he makes a very good wage. This mostly has just been our mismanagement of our funds. And I'm just going to say it's mostly been our sin of wanting to have something right now instead of waiting until we had the cash saved up for it. Or some of it has been true emergencies, like the car breaking down, and we're a one car family and we didn't have a big enough emergency fund to cover $7,000 worth of automobile expenses. And like, I think I've talked about this in the past, and I'm probably going to do a little bit more rambling about it, but you know, the whole Dave Ramsey $1,000 emergency fund, girl, it's a start. It's a nice little, I guess, emergency fund for like a trip to the doctor if you don't need like surgery or something, but it's not even enough to cover tires right now. So like, if all you've got is $1,000, you get 2 emergencies back to back and you're screwed anyway. So essentially what we had happened was, like, a couple of years ago, we're a one car family, and it's a used car, it's older. And we had just gotten out of debt. And so we did not have any savings for a new car. And we really did not want a car payment. So we just decided to keep driving the car. But what we should have done is we should have been socking away a car payment essentially every month. We didn't. The car was running fine. Nothing was wrong with it or whatever. And then we had, I don't even know what happened. I think it was like the house got struck by lightning. We had to replace a bunch of electronics in the house. Then the car needed like $3,500 worth of repairs. We needed new tires. Something else happened. I don't remember what. Oh, I split my toe in half. I dropped a 25-pound plate weight on my toe and split it in half. It was just like, and it didn't all happen like at once. There was like a couple months separating each incident, but it was like, all we had was the $1,000, emergency fund. It was like, okay, that $1,000 covered 1/3. It covered the tires on the car. It covered 1/3 of my toe repair. It covered it didn't cover anything for the house being struck by lightning. And then my cat gets really sick, and my husband and I talked about this before we ever got animals, that, if we had an animal, we would just euthanize it because we weren't going to spend a bunch of money on saving an animal. And then sure enough, my cat ends up needing like emergency surgery, or he's going to die. And I'm literally signing the papers. Oh, I'm literally signing the papers to kill my own cat. And I'm having like an amazing panic attack in the vet's office while this is happening. And as the nurse walks away, my husband texts me and he's like, just do it, save the cat. And I'm like running down the hallway screaming, like, don't kill my cat. Just ridiculous, right? We had agreed that we would just put the animals to sleep if they ever needed major medical intervention, because they're animals. And clearly I love animals, as evidenced as by how emotional I'm being over a cat that I almost had to euthanize a few months ago. Anyways, that would have been 1/3 of paying for the cat emergency, right? Like, so that $1,000 emergency fund was just gone. And there was because of how expensive everything is now, there was no ability to replenish the emergency fund. And it's not like we're out here going to get coffee every day. We never do. We're not going out to eat. We never do. We weren't going on lavish vacation. We haven't taken a vacation it was before we bought the house. It was before we closed the house. So it's been like 4 years. We're not doing anything. We're not buying avocado toast. We're not, we're not overspending. So initially the debt was caused, the debt that we paid off by 2020 was mostly caused by our son of overspending. We finally got out of debt, and then the house and the costs of home ownership that we did not anticipate, plus the cost of all the emergencies stacking up, it's gotten us like basically right back where we were before we paid everything off in 2020. And it is so disheartening. There's not another word for it. It's just like, okay, we did all that work to be right back where we started. And this time it wasn't because of like overspending. It was just because of one thing happening after another thing happening after another thing. So basically we came to the decision that I just couldn't keep doing like gig jobs. I need a steady source of income because we have to be paying these bills down. It's not even that we can just let the debt hang out for a while. The interest on like everything is 30%. It's absolutely killing us. So it just has to be taken care of. If we don't get rid of it, we're going to get absolutely buried. And I won't do what my parents did. I won't do the bankruptcies. I'm just not doing it. So, so I tell you that I had to go back into the job market. And I wanted to share with you a little bit of my experience with having to find a job now as a stay-at-home mom who's been home and owned businesses. Like, it's not like I haven't been working, right? Anybody who's a stay-at-home parent absolutely knows that you work more than full-time as a stay-at-home parent. But the getting back into the job market has been eye-opening. So like, I typed myself up a resume. I used Chat GPT to help me do a whole resume thing because it's been like 15 years since I've had to do a resume, because when you own your own business, you don't have to do resumes. You just make it happen, right? So I use Chat GPT to help me type up a resume, and it's ridiculous. Like, it's so stupid. It's so stupid. I don't have a degree. I did go to college, but I dropped out because I realized pretty quickly that college was not going to work for me, and I did not want to waste any money on it at all. So I actually did try going back to school when my son was maybe about 3 or 4, and it was a no. It was a hard no. Like, I had to lie to all of my professors because they were like, "Oh, you need to write a story about this liberal cause." It's like, I was like, I couldn't do it. So I did for one semester, and then I could not do it. College is not for me, and maybe I'm not intelligent enough for it. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm definitely not smart enough for college. So anyways, came to the realization pretty quick that I was going to have to work for myself. I was going to have to start businesses because I'm not cut out for that. I'm not cut out for that world at all. So anyways, I had ChatGPT help me do a resume. It was so stupid. And I started putting this resume in like literally everywhere. I got accounts on Indeed, on LinkedIn, on all the silly job sites. And I have applied to, I am not joking, thousands of jobs that required things that I didn't have like experience in or a degree for, like things that I was overqualified for. And of those thousands of jobs that I have applied to, I got responses on three jobs. One was for a delivery company for Amazon. And spoiler alert, that's the job I ended up taking. One was for the post office, for a delivery driver for the post office, and it was a part-time job. And then one was for a heating and cooling company as an apprentice for like HVAC. So the apprentice job paid like $14 an hour. The post office pays $20 an hour, and Amazon pays $20 an hour. The delivery company job pays $20 an hour. The post office said that it would take about 6 months for me to get hired, and I just don't have 6 months to wait. So I am still applying to post office jobs, and I'm still getting job offers, but they're all part-time. So I'm just stalking the post office website looking for full-time positions to come up in my area. So that's a whole thing on its own. I can't do the $14 an hour job because it's not enough money. It actually, we had to figure out how much money it takes for it to be worth it for me to leave the house, essentially. Like, if I'm gonna be out all day and if I'm going to be paying taxes, then there's a threshold at which, and it's about $17 an hour. If I make less than $17 an hour at any job, it's not actually worth it for me to go work, because when it all shakes out, we'll pay more for me to be out of the house in taxes than we will for me to be at home not making anything. And we don't get any government benefits. We don't qualify for anything. So we're not drawing on the system or anything like that. So it ends up being $17 an hour is what I'm worth, which, like, when you put it that way, it makes you feel kind of crappy about your life. It really does. It's like, wow, I have all these talents and it's worth $17 an hour. Anyways, so I accepted the job with the Amazon delivery company. And so that's where I'm currently working. The job is brutal. I have a whole new respect for delivery drivers. I've lost like 15 pounds. The job is awful. Not gonna lie. It's easy. It's simple. Literally, they could train squids to do the delivery driving position. But the expectations on the drivers are literally impossible. And I wanted to do some more videos on that, because I feel like what we were told, like in training and stuff, it's not real. It's kind of, I think probably every job is this way, but because I've been self-employed for so long, I just roll with it, right? Like when something is going on and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna fix it. I'm either an employer's worst nightmare or like fever dream. Because when something goes wrong, I'm just like, oh, okay, I'm just going to switch up what I'm doing. I'm just going to change what I'm doing and I'm going to make it happen. And the company that I work for loves that. Like, she just gets it done. But it's not like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, right? So anyways, I say all that to say that there is going to be some update videos coming in the future, but that I just kind of felt the need to come on here and say, like, hey, this is what's going on in my life. I appreciate all the comments and the likes and watches on the videos that I'm still getting. I'm still gonna do some homemaking content, because I am, like, my homemaking job didn't end. I still have to do that. But that I just felt it was important to do an update. So anyways, that's what's going on here. Thank you guys so much for sticking around. I really appreciate it. And I will see you in another video.